Salutations everyone, this is Razor bringing you guys another Overwatch 2 video where today I'm going to be going over my tier list that I made for the Overwatch 2 beta for Diamond and below. This was a top 500 Overwatch League tier list. This would be insanely different. We play differently here at the low levels, the bottom 94% of us. Maybe that percentage has changed now, but that's just, what Jeff said a couple of years ago. But Diamond and below. Obviously, there was no competitive for the beta, but I feel like I got a pretty good look at all the characters and what they are capable of doing and what kind of synergies that we see. So let's get into it. I'll try to keep this short. I've tried to make it a couple of times. First one was like an hour. I want to try to get under that. So straight up, Soldier 76 is the best character in the game. Even after the nerf to the TAC visor, you can now crit with it. He just has everything. He has everything. With one less tank, he's not getting harassed. The best things at diving on him, Wrecking Ball and Doomfist, he's not going to be as vulnerable to because they are solo tanks now. Both of them. Not a DPS Doom and not an off-tank Wrecking Ball. He's going to be the solo tank, so attentions are going to be divvied up differently. He has insane mobility with the sprint. He can heal himself with the healing field. He can one-shot with Helix Rocket. He's good at long range. He's good at short range. And he has a good ult. No other DPS character in the game has all of those things. Mobility, long range, short range, heal himself, good ult. No other character has all 5 tools. He's a 5-tool player. Genji, not good at long range. Reaper, not good at long range. Mei doesn't have the mobility. Sojourn, her ult's not going to be nearly as consistent, and she can't heal herself. Bob is a lot weaker now. Barrage is super duper finicky, and she's not going to be great at close range, and she can't heal herself. Sombra can't heal herself, not good at long range. Echo, her ult loses value because of the HP threshold and the changes tanks. Can't heal herself. Hanzo can't heal himself, doesn't have a great ult. The Cassidy, not going to be as good as long range. His ult's not going to get as much guaranteed value. Consistently can't heal himself, only has the roll. Tracer, not good at long range. Ultimate's a lot harder to use. Junkrat, not good at long range, can't heal himself. Bastion, can't heal himself. Doesn't have a one shot. Tracer, no one shot. Junkrat, no one shot. Widow doesn't have a great ult, not good at close range. Symmetra, not great at long range, can't one shot. So yeah, Soldier just has all of those, so that's why he's the best in the game. Unless you're good at Genji. If you're good at Genji, play Genji. Because he's a lot harder to shut down than a Soldier. Just because of his mobility. And his Dragon Blade is still absolutely bonkers insane. We saw a lot of Nano Visors and Nano Blades in the Overwatch League. Because those are the best ults in the game. These are the best DPS characters in the game. Genji was bad at double shield. Now you can only have a single shield. And even if paired up against the best shield, Reinhardt, Genji's now really good against Reinhardt. Jump on his head, throw shurikens down at his head. No one can stun him anymore. Brig can't stun him. Cassidy can't stun him. He's totally fine. Nothing stopping Genji right now. Moira, best support character in Overwatch 2 for the beta, the first beta, Diamond and below. Why? She can fade. Support's a lot more squishy because nobody's going to be peeling, and she can heal herself outside of her passive. She can do the most damage, and she can heal the most. She's a giant stat ball. 2 previous memes in Overwatch 1, DPS Moiras and Reddit Lucios. Those were memes, now they're Chads. You want your DPS Moira, you want your Reddit Lucios, because those are now the best way to play those characters. Moira can out-duel almost any DPS. And she's a good answer to Genji, because he can't reflect that grasp. And she can heal himself and force him to, dash away, right? Moira, she can get the duels, and she can do a ton of healing. She's a big ball of stats. There has been talks about reworking her, but she was not reworked in the beta, and Coalescence is really, really fucking strong. You needed it to break some early points in Overwatch 1, especially your 2 CPs. Now 2 CPs gone, but it's still such a good ultimate with just less targets for her to shoot at. She can kind of focus on someone a little more. There's less CC to try to knock her out of it. So yeah, Moira was the best support in the game. As far as the best tanks go, I think it was definitely Sigma, Orisa, and Reinhardt. I think Sigma was probably the best tank in the beta for Diamond and below. I won every single time I played him. We didn't see a ton of them just because people were, you know, the new Orisa or the, you know, the new Doomfist, right? But Sigma, he's got a strong shield. Any tank that has a shield is just going to be better. Just because that's just pure damage mitigation. And he also has the grasp. Nobody else has that rotation of 200% damage nullifiers. Shield blocks all the damage up to a point. Grasp blocks all the damage coming into it, right? So he can cycle through those. Orisa does have her Fortify and her Javelin Spin, but Fortify only mitigates damage. It doesn't completely block it like her Spin can. And obviously she can still be, you know, hit with things when she's in Fortify, and they're not going to last nearly as long as his shield combined with his grasp if Sigma is using those cooldowns properly. He has a strong ult. Accretion is stronger than before. You can now Accretion, Bop Bop, Primary, a Squishy, and they are dead, and that is very strong. Anyone that can pick a character off, any single picks in this game is a lot stronger. Now that's 5v5 instead of 6v6, so every single time the team gets smaller, any single kill gets more value, and Sigma is pretty good at doing that. Orisa, completely reworked character, fun to play, pretty strong, but she falls apart against a ton of damage. Junkrat, Bastion, Soldier, Hanzo arrows dinking her in the head. She doesn't have a shield. Before, she would have the shield. That would break in a couple seconds because it's a pretty weak shield in Overwatch 1 right now. And then she fortifies, gets healing. Your other tank is you know, maybe you're double shielding and they get the shield out in front, or maybe they're an off tank and they're mitigating with their bubbles or their defense matrix or what have you, or it's a wrecking ball causing havoc and making everybody turn around to where you can get your cooldowns. This Orisa is all by herself, so she doesn't have that help to go to make that gap between her cooldowns. So you get a Discord on her, she's dead. She's dead. I don't care if she's fortified. There's nothing that can block that damage coming from her after her javelin's gone. You just move around her cooldowns and she can fall apart. But she's strong. She does a lot of damage. Her ult is better. I've seen it get triples, but I've seen it a lot more times whiff and get 0. It's pretty easy to work around. But you can get some really sick plays off of it. It has like a tornado effect. It's a giant cone. It can pull people off a high ground and things like that. It has good combo potential. You got to get that timing right, kind of like with pull. We're used to those quick little timing things. But yeah, it can be pretty good. And the fact that she gets Fortify for free off of it definitely helps her in those situations. For her cooldowns are off. She ults, still gets her cooldowns like Winston going into Primal, right? Because he heals himself. She has the CC with Javelin. And she does pretty good damage. So if you're just rushing at people with Orisa, you can be pretty good. But if you're coming up against a lot of damage, you're going to have to switch off. Reaper was insanely strong. He was the best in the alpha. They had to nerf him, and they nerfed him in the beta. But as we saw in Overwatch League, you can use him as a main tank. That's how strong he is. You bubble him with Zarya, he teleports in. He's got iframes plus bubble damage absorption, which are only gonna make the Zarya stronger. And if he, let's say he whiffs on everything, still fade right out, right? He's the only character that can 1v1 every single tank in the game with ease. He just does a ton of damage and he heals himself. He doesn't have to worry about getting help. He doesn't need the bubble. He doesn't need a pocket. He's Reaper, and he has one of the best ultimates in the game. So that just is what it is. Not a lot of people are going to be using him. Sure, he's not going to be great at long range. He's not the best on every single map, but he's still usable on every single map. If you have the long range threat, he can just go in, pop the shotguns, game over. Reinhardt was not left behind as a lot of people thought he would be. He's getting more values off the shatters because there's less shields to block his way. He can cancel the pin and now has 2 fire strikes, even though they're weaker. I'm a little disappointed that actually he is so good because I'm sick of having to play Reinhardt so much in Overwatch 1. He's my second most played tank. My most played tank was Orisa, but now we have a brand new character. Everything about her kit changed, even the primary fire. So super duper fresh playing her now. Whereas Reinhardt pretty much has to play the same outside of you're now able to charge in, then cancel, put up your shield, get the healing from the damage that you took and while you were charging. Because in Overwatch 1, the last thing you want your teammate Reinhardt to do is charge. If I could unbind it, I totally would every single time, because charging is never going to help you in Overwatch 1. Diamond and below, it's just really bad. Even if you get a kill, you're probably getting killed at the same time if the enemy team is anything worth their salt, right? So now that you can cancel that and get a little, make some little bit of quick, fun, strategic plays with that, that's pretty good. And if he gets support, he can do a ton of damage. But the thing is, with Reinhardt, he needs support. He doesn't have utility, just like in Overwatch 1. He might have been the best tank in the most times for Diamond and below, but he can't carry. He can't do as much damage as Orisa or Sigma. He can't counter somebody like Diva jumping on a soldier on the high ground or a Pharah in the sky, or hound down a Mercy, right? Reinhardt can't do any of those things. He doesn't have flexibility, he doesn't have the maneuverability, and he doesn't have long-range damage, so he needs support. And in Diamond and below games with not a lot of communication or people wanting to switch, people never want to switch, otherwise he can fall apart. Ana was very good. Dart, nade, you're going to hit more of those because there's only one tank. There's at most one shield, two if there's a brig, but how do you really count that? Nano Boost, not one of the best support ults in the game. It's an offensive ult, but still useful. Can help turn the tide, especially if you just throw it on your tank. Reinhardt now goes back to the top of the list as one of the best nano targets, along obviously with Visor and Blade. So Ana still in a very good spot, even though she is diveable. She can dart somebody in defense. She can still nade herself, but doesn't need to nade herself because you can let that passive handle things for her at times. Lucio, Reddit Lucios rejoice. DPS Lucios, dueling Lucios are the best. He's going to survive, therefore do more healing than he did in Overwatch 1 in comparison to some of his more vulnerable brethren in the support role. He's going to be surviving. He doesn't need to heal himself on the heal aura, so he can wall ride on the speed aura, get the passive going, go back into it. He can duel a lot of the squishies. He can jump on the back line. He can go toe-to-toe against some of the DPS. And he can boot people out of position. So, and he has the beat, which is still one of the best support ultimates in the game. So yes, Lucio, fantastic. Zen, a lot of people were sleeping on. At the beginning, a lot of people thought it might have been the worst character in the game. He wasn't. Those people were wrong. And then he got the Sparta kick, and then everyone saw this, kind of saw the light. I saw multiple games in a row in the beta where my teammate Zenyatta got gold damage and gold limbs. That wasn't a thing that happened a lot in Overwatch 1. Sure, I've done a couple times. A couple of you've done a few times. But in Overwatch 1, the enemy team isn't picking, like, you throw a Discord on their Orisa, and you have the threat of soldier at all ranges, and you have like Genji flying at their backline. Zenyatta's just there sitting pretty. He's got nobody to jump on him, and he's flinging orbs. He's got the Harmony healing somebody, and he's got the Discord wiping out a tank. So if people are trying to play Winston in Overwatch 2 like they do in Overwatch 1, or if a Doomfist is going in improperly, or an Orisa is existing in his general direction, that Discord is going to win that fight. And he can do a ton of damage, and Transcendence, not the best support, but still a good support ult. Mercy, super slept on. She can absolutely carry a team. Her ability to damage boost is a lot more powerful because a single pick means a lot more in Overwatch. Her res is a lot more powerful because a res has a lot more value. The smaller your team get, the more valuable getting one of them is. So res and damage boost, a lot more impactful in Overwatch 2. Some squishies are getting dove on. Mercy, she's flying away. She got the super jump as part of her official kit now. And her ultimates, while, you know, not insane, still always going to be good. You can't whiff a Valkyrie. It's never going to be a bad, Valk. Not something that's hard to use, right? She can go off and, shoot at somebody, go after a vulnerable character, and give the healing or the damage depending on the situation. And you have a bad Doomfist going in against a good Reinhardt. Mercy's pocketing the Doomfist, and the Reinhardt isn't getting pocketed by anybody. That bad Doomfist is beating that good Reinhardt because he's got the Mercy pocket heals. That's how it's going to work. Mercy can enable bad comps or weird comps on weird maps for just existing, pocketing the Bastion to where Oh, we can't just dive on him anymore now that he doesn't have Ironclad and can't heal himself because the Mercy's keeping him alive, and now their tank is free to go at us as we're going after the Bastion, right? So she can enable a lot of play, and she's annoying, and she can still hard carry in Overwatch 2 just like she could in Overwatch 1. What she's great at, she's even gets even more value in Overwatch 2. Mei, a lot of people slept on. Her Blizzard's still like top 3 ultimate in the game. Really good. The damage trade-off from her freeze, kind of like with McCree, losing the stun and Brig, losing the stun and gaining the damage sometimes is a lot better than having the stun in the first place. Especially when she isolates somebody with the ice wall, where she would need to hit a headshot icicle or force herself into an ice block. Now she can just spray to win. Right to win. She still can be kind of used as an off tank, like she was in Overwatch 1 as a third tank. Now she's kind of can be a second tank. Wall cannot be understated as a great utility move, a great ultimate, a fast charging ultimate. She's good at long range and short range, so there's nothing bad about Mei whatsoever. Sojourn was good. I feel like a lot of people were super high on her for like the first few days, and then downhill after that. After the buff to her railgun, she got a lot better. I feel like her kit offers a lot because the shields, she still gains railgun charge off the shield, so it's not like a shield hard counter her or anything like that. And she doesn't need a full charge to one-shot a squishy. She's going to get like, I think it's like 84 or 85 charge to one-shot headshot a squishy at full health. And most times they're not going to be at full health. Most of the times you're going to run in, drop your grenade, which does a lot of damage if you can't get out of it. And he's going to body shot. You don't even need to hit. You can body shot, finish with the railgun, and then, skeet shoot your way out of there because she has great mobility. Her ult is a skill shot, so that's going to have its ups and downs, right? Not going to be as good as Tactical Visor, where it's just guaranteed aimbot shots. But she's got good mobility. She's got some CC, a lot of really good damage, and the ability to finish off kills all by herself. Ashe, was a little underrated, I feel like, as well for DPS. Or Dynamite's not going to get eaten by Defense Matrix. It's not going to be, fire isn't going to be nullified by Zarya bubbles as much because you're not going to see those characters, I feel like, as much. Bob got super duper nerfed. Even though there's only 5 people on your team, he's usually dying instead of getting kills. But, there's still 1 or less shields that are going to be in play. So Bob's can still get value. He just gets shut down a lot more easily. But her kit is good. She's got the boop with the coach gun. In case somebody dives on her, she's better at long range than, or more consistent at long range than Widow at Diamond and below, obviously. And she's going to get a lot of value out of Dynamite, just completely zoning people out. She can take high ground with her coach gun, and she can also push people away and do good damage. Pharah just barely making it into great here because people just ignore her, and she's a little bit easier to use than Echo, I feel. Echo has a higher ceiling, but she also has a higher floor, and her ult got nerfed. Pharah's ult obviously isn't great, but it's basically you're basically get the same value out of it as you do in Overwatch 1. People are ignoring Pharah's, and with no divas to stop her, and not many people hitting their one-shot headshots with Widowmaker, Pharah is doing great. She did great in the beta, as I showed you guys. And put a Mercy Pocket on her, forget about it. It's game over. Baptiste was really strong. He's not... His best play style isn't as prevalent in Overwatch 2 because you're not going to be bunkering as much because you only have 1 tank, only 2 really immovable tanks, and your Orissas and your Reinhardts, the ones that aren't going to be moving as much. So he can still do a lot of healing. His ammo field is still just as frustrating to go up against and insane to play with. And he got a buff to his AoE heal where it does frame 1 big healing and then healing over time if they're below 50% or 25%, I forget, but that's a big buff. And his window, sometimes you're going to whiff, sometimes you're going to get big value out of it, and he can still do good damage at short and long ranges. So he's a threat, works in comps very well, but those comps might not always be used. Sombra, pretty much in the same spot she is in Overwatch 1, although a little bit better because she doesn't have to come out of stealth or her hack, to where you can hack, and the dive gets put on her. And also, her hack is better in some cases at dueling, just because it's like you do way more damage than if they were Discord orbed. So she can more easily take out backlines. Her EMP is flat damage now, so that's not as good as it was before, where it stripped shields and everybody was hacked for a while. But it's still good and still charges fast. She's just a bit of a difficult character to play. Is the only thing that really holds her back, and the best way to get value out of her is with some communication on gaining leverage off of those hacks, right? Zarya, it was a very interesting tank in the beta for Diamond and below, because sometimes she felt unkillable because she had 2 bubbles, but like Orisa, if you throw damage at her, she crumbles. She just crumbles. In Overwatch 2, you deal with Zarya bubbles differently than you do in Overwatch 1. Overwatch 1, if she's bubbled or she bubbles somebody, you don't shoot at them. You don't want her getting a giant beam of 100 or 90 damage to blast at you while being protected by the Reinhardt shield that she's off-tanking for, right? Here she's alone, so her damage isn't as threatening because she's a lot more fragile. You want to shoot her shields in Overwatch 2. Oh, she's bubbled. Blow up the bubble, and she's dead. If she doesn't have the second bubble, she's dead instantly. If she has the second bubble, you blow past the second bubble, and she's got nothing, right? She doesn't have a shield like Sigma or Reinhardt, or Winston for that matter. But we'll get to Winston in a bit. So she can be frustrating, and if she has support and gets good charge, she can be strong. It's just really hard to get up to that point now in Overwatch 2, now that she is alone. You're mostly going to want to be bubbling yourself as Zarya, unless the aforementioned main tank Reaper strat, of course, or Genji Blade going in. You don't want him to get slept or things like that. Or somebody gets pinned, somebody gets antied. You want to bubble them, of course, but she's very hard to play correctly now, just because you want to shoot the shield, shoot the bubble, break the bubble, kill Zarya. It's not hard to do with any sort of team coordination, but there's still maps where she might be, she's still going to be pretty good. Some King of the Hill maps maybe, and Grav is obviously one of the best ultimates in the game. That's definitely a top 3, but she's not going to do as much damage right now because she's not going to be able to charge nearly as much, because there is no main tank to help her get to that charge and protect her when she does have that charge. So yeah, she can be unkillable, and she can also just be feather paper. Brigitte was surprisingly good. I liked her. Having that, again, losing the stun but gaining the damage sometimes can be better. She can't deal with Genjis as much, obviously, or tracers going in, but she can still whip shot Winston's coming in, or other people diving in, and get them off her or her teammates. And she doesn't have to proc Inspire to heal herself anymore because of the passive, so that really helps. So I think Brig is more, she's not as oppressive. She's not going to be as oppressive at the highest levels, and she's not going to be as bad at the lower levels. So I think that's pretty good. She's going to be more useful in more situations than before, which I'm very thankful for. Echo, like I touched on, her ult really hurts. It's no longer automatically, let me copy a tank, right? Reinhardt's probably still a good target, but Orisa, she's going to be too fragile and not have enough HP, even with Fortify, to get to the ult, use the ult, channel the ult, and get value out of the ult, right? Or you're possibly your Sigmas. Sometimes maybe you just want to go for a beat, you want to go for a blade, you want to go for a blossom, right? But she's still going to be less challenged in the air, like Pharah. So she's still going to be really good in like every map. So if you're good with her before, you're gonna have even more fun with her now. Hanzo, I liked Hanzo in the beta. He's not the best in every map, right? But where he was good, he's still good. And like with Brig, I think he's more applicable in more situations now because there's less shields. He's still decent at breaking shields if, say, you're going up against the big shields. But Orisa, tree trunks, boom, in her head. There's nothing she can do about it. Storm arrows going in her head every time. Put Discord Orb on her. she's done for. Hanzo's also really good against Doomfist. Might be like, why? Doomfist can, you know, jump on him and shit, but Doomfist, he doesn't have armor. And even if he power blocks, a headshot from Hanzo is still doing a good amount of damage. And hopefully you're not just a Hanzo shooting at a Doomfist, whether he's power blocking or not. But Hanzo's in a good spot. His ult definitely gets hurt because he usually synergizes with tank ults. Now there's only one tank to synergize with, and they don't get a lot of ults. And there's not going to be as many Zaryas to go with. Shatter Dragons, you're going to be seeing more Shatter Dragons and less Grab Dragons. Maybe more Flux Dragons. You're going to have to work on that timing a bit. But sometimes you're just using it to just zone somebody out. It doesn't have to get kills to get value. Next up, we have Cassidy. He's good. Still good in all situations. You can't flash a Tracer or a Genji Blade coming in anymore. But that damage, and especially how easy it is to stick, throw that within 15 feet of somebody, and boom, they're stuck. And a body shot on a squishy after that, and they're dead. That's really powerful. His ult isn't going to be shut down as much with no off tank to get in his face. And people don't like looking high nooning behind them anyway. So yeah, he maintains his value. Junkrat, a lot of people were low on in the beta. Me, not so much, because where he was good in Overwatch 2, he's still good now. Granted, we don't have 2 CP, where he was good at funneling damage through the choke, right? But Tyre, still one of the best in the game. You're still getting multi-kills off of that every single time, right? And he still does good damage. He can do a lot of damage up against the tank. In those close quarters, King of the Hill maps, right? Night Market or Control Center, things like that. He's still going to maintain that same value. Easy value, easy character play, the fast charging ult in the game, and one of the best ults in the game. So yeah, he's good. He honestly is not applicable in every situation, but he wasn't before. But he's still good. Tracer was kind of always in this, like, you kind of have to be a Tracer player, a Tracer specialist, to get a lot of good value off of Tracer. Her dueling ability got nerfed a ton in the beta when she got nerfed. I don't know why they nerfed her. I feel like they need to revert that. She didn't like even take over at the top level, where she is usually the best, is at the top level. She didn't really take over in Overwatch League. She was good, and we saw her a lot, not as much as Genji Soldier. So maybe that says something about those characters as compared to her, but we still saw a lot of her. And Pulse Bomb is the hardest ult to use in the game, and it's not a great ult either. You get one kill with Pulse Bomb, you're like, awesome. If you get one kill with the Dragon Blade, you're kind of like, that was kind of a bad Dragon Blade. Sometimes it's not. Maybe that's all you need. But it's still the hardest ult to use in the game, and she can't one-clip melee people nearly as much with that damage nerf, even if she's getting all headshots. I mean, that's what she needs now. She needs all headshots and a melee to finish somebody off. So I feel like we still can see her at the higher levels, even after the nerf, possibly, just because of the follow-ups and the skill of people at that level. But at Diamond and below, nah, not going to be as good as even she was before. Granted, there's no tanks now, or one tank now, so she might be able to isolate somebody more easily, but she's also just not going to be doing as much damage. Bastion is a special case. Like I mentioned in my video talking about damage before, he's Feast or Famine. You can go 4 fights in a row without getting a kill, and then the next he gets quad. That's just the nature of him. He's easier to focus down than he is in Overwatch 1 because he has no Ironclad and no personal healing. His turret form is better. He's more mobile because now he can move in that form, and he can grenade jump, and his ultimate's stronger. So he can jump on the guy, and he can be ineffective. You want to do that quickly to him. You want them to switch off of the Bastion early, and if you try to play Bastion and you get focused down, you're gonna have to switch early. And then with Diva, she's situational along with Doomfist. It's like you have long sight lines and they pick Reinhardt, you blast his shields and break the shield, and all of a sudden, boom, you're a better tank than Reinhardt. If he doesn't have a shield, you have the mobility and the damage to take care of things. Now there's only one shield. Big bombs are going to be more consistent, and she can still shut down people, but now that she's the only tank, she's going to get focused a lot more. She only has that defense matrix and her mobility to save her. So that's definitely a downside for her. But she's still the same girl, still the same diva. So uh, it's just she's only going to be good on a couple maps or up against some tanks in some maps. And then Doomfist, while he was fun, he's he still is going to struggle against the other tanks in the game. He's not going to do well in 1v1s against them. Uh, he's he doesn't have the one-shot capabilities that he did before. So he needs follow-up. He needs help, right? And you're not going to get that a lot at Diamond and Below. So he's still going to be good on a few maps. But he's vulnerable. He's very vulnerable. He's not going to be good at diving as Winston in a lot of cases. And he can't really tank very much. The power block, he's still taking damage. And yeah, he can, you know, one-shot punch after that, but people aren't shooting at him when he's power blocking. People just aren't doing that, even at the lower levels. And he gets slept, and he can get antied or hooked and discorded. So he can be very vulnerable and needs help, or the enemy team to just kind of like be out of their wits about it. Winston, you have to be a lot more passive now. Now you kind of have to be like, shoot from range, drop your bubble, shoot from range, and then like dive to chase somebody, right? You can't play him the same now that he doesn't have an off tank to help him. So he was weak for Diamond and Below for Overwatch 1. He's still just as weak in Overwatch 2, which is sad to say. I really wanted to have a lot of fun playing Winston in Overwatch 2. And Torbjorn, he doesn't have to worry about shields. He doesn't have to worry about shields as much for his turret. And his Molten Core is good for dueling. But he's still Torbjorn. And he's going to get focused down a little bit more now there's only one tank, right, to focus on. Molten Core is still a good ability, still great area denial. But he's not bad. I'm not saying he's bad. He's just, you're going to want to use him on, you know, defense Route 66, especially that third point, or maybe first points on Noombani or something like that. So he's not great at long range. He's good at short range, but I don't know. There's just some stuff lacking from his kit to make him good in a lot of situations, like in Overwatch 1. He really didn't change. Widow, hit your shots, you're good. Don't hit your shots, you're not good. People Diamond and Below aren't hitting their shots. Let's just be real. And her ultimates is only going to be useful if you're good at hitting your shots with Widow, right? Symmetra, we lose 2 CP, and her teleport play there was really key. She was like one of the best in Overwatch 1. No, she is the best in Overwatch 1 on 2 CP. Just teleport through Hanamura choke, teleport through Volskaya choke, you're great. But we don't have that anymore, so she loses that value. You lose shield, so her photon projector's not going to be charging as much, but still in King of the Hills, you know, you get the point. You throw up the turrets, and her ult still charges pretty quickly. She's usable, but not as applicable in a lot of places now. And Ball was good as an off tank or like a dive initiation tank, but now that he's the only tank, he doesn't have it. He's got a better ult than Winston or Roadhog, or maybe even D.Va at the lower play. Sure, it's good area denial. You can get some guaranteed damage if you drop and slam and stuff like that. But his mid fight is just not great. He can't one shot. He can't put a ton of damage. Sure, he's hit scan and he has machine gun. It's a long reload. He has to go in and out of the fight. And since he's the only tank, we can't really afford that. And Roadhog is a throw pick, just like he is in Overwatch 1, but now you're throwing harder because there's no main tank to pick up your slack. The buff to his ult did make him stronger, but dude gets slept easy. Dude gets antied easy. Dude gets focused easy. He gets shut down easily. He doesn't have a shield. He can't help his team. He's garbage. I'm sorry. He's bad. So that's my tier list for Overwatch 2 Beta 1 for Diamond and Below. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. See you next time.